Welcome back to the Demi Taste Podcast, where we do a little bit of tasting and a lot of talking. Usually we talk about whiskey, but the best thing about whiskey are the conversations that we get to have. And sometimes we get to talking about something completely different. Right now is the Whiskey Lodge Dry Week, which means that we typically have a bit of dry content. And our special guests today are Kirstin and Yura Vracko of the Cheeky and Dry Bottle Shop, which is the first non-alcoholic bottle shop dedicated to non-alcoholic beverages entirely that is opened in the Pacific Northwest. Their Seattle area, just near the Woodland Park Zoo. And as I understand, they're opening a new location soon elsewhere. I'll let them get into that if they wish. And thanks for joining. I know that dry content may not be the most appealing thing for a whiskey channel, but it is important to talk about. And I really appreciate everyone who is tuning in today. And without any further ado, Kirstin and Yura, would you like to introduce yourselves and what you do?
Sure. I'll go first.
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Yura Vracko, and I have Cheeky and Dry with my beautiful wife, Kirstin, and we've been open since November 1st. So I'm happy to be here. Not sure how deep to go.
Hey, I'm Kirstin Vracko, co-owner of Cheeky and Dry, and I run the shop.
Awesome. That may be the briefest that any of my guests have gone into what they do, which definitely puts the pressure on me to come up with some good questions right off the bat. So I'll just say,
you should ask our titles. So
yeah, what are your titles?
My title is CFO to make my LinkedIn presence feel better, but it's actually Chief Fun Officer.
Chief Fun Officer. Yeah. Excellent.
And I am the boss lady.
The boss lady. And you're basically front of house.
I'm front of house, middle of house, and back of house.
Awesome. So I'll just sort of give, I guess, my story with how I discovered your brand in the first place. So longtime watchers of this show will know that we do a quarterly Dry Week episode like this. And the last Dry Week, we interviewed Seth O'Malley of Wilderton Non-Alcoholic Spirits, botanical spirits, I guess, depending on what you say. So here, I'll make my head a reasonable size. So I bought this bottle actually at the Cheeky and Dry shop after I had gone through my sample size that Seth had sent me. And they happen to have a booth there. So one of the cool things that you do at your shop is that you have regular non-alcoholic beverage producers show up and show off their wares. Which is a really cool thing. I know that there's some regulations involved, but I wish that more shops would really just open up what they have and let you try it, because you're taking a big risk in a lot of cases on some super premium products. Spirits can be expensive. And when you're trying something that you walk into a store and plan to walk out with something that you've never tried before, you might be spending 40, 60, $100. You'd want to know what you're buying first. And being able to sample it is a really great service that you offer. And is probably one of the reasons why more non-alcoholic bottle shops need to exist, in my personal opinion, because it's a great category. I think for a long time, non-alcoholic spirits were considered like, oh, that's strictly going to be worse. That's going to be a pale imitation of the thing that you think you're getting. It's not going to be satisfying for, if you're trying to get a whiskey substitute, it's not going to taste like whiskey. If you're trying to get something that works in a cocktail, it might not be the best thing for it. How do you substitute a gin, or how do you substitute a whiskey? But that's not true anymore, as far as I can tell. And certainly everything in your store is super high quality and curated, and it's all really good stuff. And the variety of things available was astonishing to me. Just the number of things I'd never heard of, which were all great. I liked everything I tried there. I obviously had to make choices because I can't buy the whole store. But this bottle here, this Roots Divino non-alcoholic vermouth, was one of my favorites, and I took that home because I needed a new vermouth, and I felt like this was not only a good vermouth to try, it is really up there with some of the better vermouths that I've had. It serves kind of the same purpose, and since I'm personally not usually drinking just to get buzzed, I'm perfectly okay with using a substitute ingredient that serves the same purpose and doesn't have any alcohol. So that's my long introduction to alcoholic spirits, I guess. I touched on a couple of things in there. I'd love if you could give us a bit of perspective on how you curate what's in your shop.
Yeah. So we have one rule in the shop, and that is we have to like what we sell. So we kind of, just to go back on opening the shop and why we did it. And we both got sober last May. And we're out there looking for good products. Couldn't really find them in one space. So I came to Yura right after he came out of rehab and said, I would like to open a non-alcoholic bottle shop. And he took about maybe a minute, 2 minutes, and thought about it and looked at me and said, that's a great idea. Let's do it. And I basically jumped right into, okay, here we go. I'm going to quit my job and jump in with 2 feet. And when we were talking about how the bottle shop was going to go, that was our number one rule, is we have to sell products that we like, because we can't sell products we don't like. They do have to be high quality. I also look for brands out there that are willing to collaborate and are willing to put effort into helping me with this whole thing. So we have, you talked about Roots. Roots is an awesome brand. Non-alcoholic vermouth. That vermouth is out of Greece. And I've already had a couple of Zoom calls with the guys from Greece. They are incredible. They're coming out to do a tasting. Really exciting product. So that's one of our best sellers. Another really awesome seller in our shop is Pathfinder. We really like to focus on Pacific Northwest brands as well. Pathfinder is a great example of one that was started in the PNW. It's made with fermented hemp seeds, which is, kind of quintessential, and it's a great Amaro. It's got saffron and sage, and it's even got Douglas fir in it. So also fun products to talk about. So it really is curated to our tastes. There are brands out there that'll ask why we don't bring that in, and it's just simply the fact that we sell what we like.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hemp seeds is very on brand for the Pacific Northwest, definitely.
Yeah, along with the Douglas fir, and but yeah, it's a great product. It's also a great substitute for brown liquors. For example, I'm having Pathfinder and ginger beer with a squeeze of orange in it, and not sad about it. It's absolutely delicious.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
I myself, I don't have a ton of different dry ingredients myself, but I do, of course, have the Wilderton. The Wilderton Luster is my favorite of those, and it's, you might think, oh, that's like a vodka substitute, but it's something else. It's not quite gin, it's not quite vodka. It almost works a bit as tequila, but in this case, I'm treating it as a gin, and I paired it with the Roots and made myself a nice little martini, which is probably one of the best martinis that I can make.
Well, and you're touching on a point with the Wilderton specifically. Those are what we call free-form spirits. They're spirits that aren't trying to be like anybody else. They are doing their own thing, and that's what's super exciting about the non-alcoholic world right now. That for another example, and we talked about the Pathfinder, Tennyson is a great example of a free-form spirit. It's out of Texas. It's black ginger. There are flavors that I guarantee you've never had before. So it's ginger, there's some citrus, there's black pepper in it, there's some lemon balm in it. It's also got some really healthy products, so functional as well as being free form. And functional just means it gives you some other benefit beyond taste and calories. So things like MCT oil, it's super healthy for you, great for your gut. And there's all sorts of products that are coming out like that, which is exciting.
Yeah, nice. I guess I didn't realize that this would touch on health foods too, but
Oh,
yeah, that's it's definitely another. I probably should pay more attention to it than I do, but as someone who is at least some of my hobby time is spent doing athletics, I definitely spend a little bit of time thinking about that as well. So let me ask you about that Texas product. So since you're carrying a product from Texas, and you say obviously availability is a factor, so Pacific Northwest is easy to feature, but you also like to feature things that are more local to the Pacific Northwest. Does your carrying of a product from further afield like stand out even more as an endorsement, or is it just something that you happen to discover and like?
I think it's about just discovering and liking the product. I mean, we bring in products from all over the world. We have products from Australia and England and Greece, and we just brought in a sparkling tea from Lithuania. But I do love the Pacific Northwest products. We have quite a few that are local, and those are the ones that really are excited to come in and sample their products too. But yeah, it's such a new industry, and there are so many brands that are coming out that are new. It's from all over.
Okay.
So there you go.
Anything to
I'm
add,
not very
Yura?
good at this interviews.
I was going to say I'm holding down the day-to-day job outside of Cheeky, so I come in on weekends, and it's crazy how quickly the product selection changes. And I know you're trying to focus on whiskey here with this podcast, but there's all sorts of things. And when we started in November, it's like it's been a huge change of how new this industry is and how many new products are coming out. And so, for Kirstin to have the time to go find the new things and curate them and learn about them and the people and the process, it's just really cool. It's just, and then the customers that come in, they're so happy. I've never been in a shop where customers are like, so don't mind waiting in line. They're just so happy, saying thank yous, when they're buying their products. And it's just a really cool place to be.
Yeah, I will definitely echo that. That was probably the happiest clientele I've ever seen. Just every person was smiling, having a great time, trying stuff, starting conversations with strangers. It was it was a wonderful time being in there. Honestly, that's the kind of shopping experience that the world needs more of.
Amen. Well, and yeah, they're in there. They're well. They sleep well, and they don't have hangovers.
Yeah. Definitely a problem. It's nice to have a break from alcoholic consumption every once in a while, even when it's, I build it into my week. So I try to do, I don't drink more than 3 days in a row. So that's sort of one of my rules. That effectively means that I drink about 5 days a week, and I'm dry about 2 days a week. But then we have the quarterly dry week, and then occasionally, something like a dry January comes up where it's kind of the whole, it's a bit of a drought, if you will.
Sure.
I've actually really come to like having non-alcoholic, really high quality non-alcoholic cocktail options available when I have a party. And it's a great conversation piece too, because people have kind of gotten tired of hearing about spirits, especially for me, because that's my entire personality. So it's really nice to, you've got, I don't know, 8 people over or whatever, and to be able to serve everybody a cocktail at the end of the night where you haven't ended the party, but you give everyone a chance to sober up before they go home.
Yep.
So obviously everybody's drinking responsibly, and nobody's going to be, there's designated drivers and all that, and nobody's drinking beyond the legal drinking limit. I make sure that that's the kind of situation, right? We've got an extra bedroom, so if anybody does overdo it, they can stay. But it's nice to be able to let people keep talking for an hour while they've got something that is going to aid them in detoxing a bit. So the party isn't like, okay, party's over. Now sit still for an hour before you go home. It's like, yeah, we can keep having a cocktail. We can keep talking. So that's really nice to have. And that's one reason why I've only had this bottle for 3 months and it's almost empty.
And if I can just hop on my soapbox, I think having lots of options is, and the shop's really about offering people choices. So you have your alcoholic option, you've got your non-alcoholic option, but a big one, and especially for parties, weddings, that kind of thing, is a low ABV option. And that's something that we can help with too, is that, say you're making your Negroni, and Negroni we all know is high octane. You've got your regular alcoholic gin, but we've got a great non-alcoholic Campari. Mix those two together and you can have cocktails throughout the night and not end up overdoing it. So there's great options out there. I really think that that's the kind of the way of the future, is being able to choose how much ABV you have in your cocktails.
Totally.
And having that choice is awesome.
Yeah, I really like that myself as well. As I've said over and over again about Wilderton and these other non-alcoholic options that I have, these are ingredients I want to use even when alcohol is an option. I mix them with alcohol. I sometimes dry week is a great time to just challenge myself to come up with a good cocktail spec that works for strictly non-alcoholic ingredients. And I go so far as to say I'm not even going to use bitters. A couple of dashes of bitters wouldn't make it alcoholic from a perspective of like my kombucha has more alcohol in it than my cocktails do.
Right.
That's why I also avoid kombucha during dry week. I really take this seriously. Like I take it more seriously than I have to, but it's nice to just it's nice to have these extra options on my bar cart. These live with my regular mixers, my alcoholic vermouth and my Amaro and my gin and my vodka and everything. They're in there too. And I reach for these because they're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we even have non-alcoholic bitters.
Right. Which I haven't bought yet, but I really want to try.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. And the nice thing about non-alcoholic bitters is that they use glycerin for them. So actually, when you're having that non-alcoholic product, they tend to be a little thin on the palate and not have as much viscosity, because alcohol is what gives the drinks viscosity. So if you're losing that non-alcoholic bitter, it's got some glycerin in it. It gives it a little bit more mouthfeel, and that's a great option too.
I'm going to show that ticker occasionally because I want to make sure that people who are popping in know what we're talking about without me having to interrupt the show entirely, which I've just done. So I just wanted to explain why I'm doing that.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to something you said about having them on the same tray, and that's really symbolic of where we want to be. We're not anti-alcohol. Mm-hmm. Most of the people we hang out with still drink, and we don't really give a poop about that. It's just about, we're just thinking, we went out and tried to have non-alcoholic drinks like at dinner, and we'd have Sprite, or milk or something. And it's really hard. And that's another thing that's really cool to see is on menus, how it seems like their options of non-alcoholic. Like we went to the Tractor Tavern last night and they had 4 or 5 different beers.
Yeah. Bunch of different options.
Yeah. And it's cool. So it's not like a us and them kind of thing. It's like your serving tray, right? It's all one thing. Like, just what do you want?
Yep. They definitely go together. They're complementary. Absolutely. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, aside from the obvious gap in the market, what was the inspiration or what made you feel like there would be a market for a non-alcoholic bottle shop?
We had no idea. We saw there was a gap, but we had no idea if there was a thirst for it.
I mean, there are some non-alcoholic bottle shops that have been around for about, Spirited Away was the first non-alcoholic bottle shop in the country. They're in Manhattan, and they've been around for, I want to say, 3 or 4 years now. So there was a little bit of precedent for it, but definitely not a lot. I just think that we saw the gap as people that drank our way through COVID and got sober. I think we are definitely not the only ones that drank our way through COVID and went, whoa, afterwards. We're drinking a lot. And wanted to fulfill the ritual of having a cocktail, and weren't finding what we needed. So yeah, did we take a risk? 100%.
Yeah.
But I think from the people that have come in, and just being super grateful and being thankful that we have it, I think we hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I think it's the conversations that happen in the store are just reinforce that we did the right thing.
Yeah. The first time we stopped in, I took my wife with me. She's allergic to alcohol. So aside from nosing and maybe the occasional small sip of whiskey that I'm having, she basically can't participate in my usual whiskey sort of content. But she fell in love with your shop right away and was like, "Oh, we need to buy more of these things because this actually lets me, talk to you about this stuff that tastes these complex flavors," that's one of the things I love about whiskey and other spirits, is that there's so much complexity of flavor. It's a thing that if you let it, can absorb all of your attention. It's a nice thing to meditate on. And before I discovered good quality non-alcoholic spirits, there was very little else that could do that. You get like high quality chocolates, you get high quality coffee. Those sorts of things are an option. Those both involve caffeine. There's probably a correlation there that these complex flavors come along with things that are not so good for us. But it's really nice to be able to have something that lets her have a cocktail whenever I'm having cocktails or drinks with friends. It lets us talk about stuff together. Without really, I don't have to change anything about my schedule because I'm perfectly happy to have these really high quality things, and having somebody with a curated selection who can help me find what I'm looking for without me having to try every one of those things. I mean, that's the service I try to provide whiskey drinkers as a whiskey reviewer. But I can't afford to be that for every category of everything. So finding other experts who can do that for me, it's great. I don't have to be the expert. I can, I've never been disappointed by your recommendations.
Oh, thank you. I mean, that's a big part of, I think, Cheeky and Dry now is the education part of it. And you kind of hit on before that we do tastings, but most of our bottles that we have on the shelves, we have open in our tasting fridge. And that's really the cornerstone of Cheeky, is that you need to come in and be able to try these. It's, most of the bottles are $40 a bottle. And the last thing you want to do is get that and have to pour it down the drain. I've done that way too many times to have my customers do that. And, liquid to lips, that's the most important thing. And educating them on where they're coming from and the stories. The stories are fascinating. But these companies that are doing this, they all have one, and they all have something important to say. You had talked about wanting to have some of the products out. So there's another one. This is Amethyst. Amethyst is made by a company down in South Carolina that is actually an alcohol producing company. It's called Burt Church Distillery. And they have somebody on staff that's not drinking, and they've taken that to heart and made a non-alcoholic product that's absolutely amazing. But it's fun to be able to talk to customers about these different products and where they're coming from. They're fascinated by it. Everybody loves a good story.
Absolutely. I like to talk generally the story about the liquid. That's sort of my approach. Everybody's got their, well, not everybody, but there's definitely a trend in spirits to talk about this recipe is 100 years old, and great 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 grandfather has been making this the same way, whether or not that's true. And I like to cut right through that and get to, why are the people who are making it the way they're making it right now? Tell me about the decisions that went into what's in this bottle. That's the story I care about. I think non-alcoholic spirits are a wealth of that kind of story.
For sure. And they come from all over the place. I mean, there's another brand, I don't have it here. It's called Tilden, and it's a couple gals that went to Harvard, and they both quit drinking, and they wanted to make this great non-alcoholic product, and went into business together and have made a ready-to-drink cocktail that's insanely good and so many different flavors. And they have this friendship going on that they made a great product and worked really well together. That was not said well, but
Yeah.
okay.
And that's another cool thing, is that we're not constrained by, the categories of whiskey, gin. It's like the world is kind of open now, where there's no walls. Like, you want to put some Douglas fir in it, go for it.
Yeah.
And so we can try these different things. And there's a lot of bad products, but the stuff in our shop, there's a lot of really good products too. So it's kind of fun not having those borders that kind of limit it to one flavor. But on the other hand, it's nice to focus in on the smoky, the whiskey, the barrel, the aging, all that. But there's those constraints are kind of taken off.
I know this is going to fly directly in opposition of that of that statement, but I wanted to ask if you could give us and the listeners a rundown of the types of categories of non-alcoholic beverages that you carry.
Yeah, for sure.
Before she gets out, I got to head out, but thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
He's off to an AA meeting. So the different categories, 100%. There's what we call RTDs, ready to drink cocktails. Those are cocktails that are ready to drink right out of the can or the bottle. If you're having a party, great options out there. You can have a bunch of different ones and everybody's happy. We have what we call analog spirits. So those are spirits that are replicating what's out there. So your gin, your tequila, your bourbon, your there's no such thing as non-alcoholic vodka. That would be water. But we've got all the other ones. We have great Campari, all sorts of fun stuff. Then we've got what we call free-form spirits. Again, that's something like the Pathfinder, not trying to be like anybody else. They're doing their own thing. Then functional beverages. Functional beverages are beverages that give you some other benefit beyond tasting calories. So most of the time they have nootropics or adaptogens in them. They're going to make you calm. They're going to make you awake. CBD is another functional beverage. We do a lot of CBD in the shop. And then we've got non-alcoholic wines, sparkling stills. We've got non-alcoholic, what we call wine proxies. We have a whole shelf of non-alcoholic sparkling tea that is absolutely amazing. And then we've got non-alcoholic beers, mixers. We have non-alcoholic bitters. I think we've got about 250 SKUs in the shop. So and that's about, I would say it's about a third of the product that I've tried out there.
That's amazing. 250 SKUs. And
Right?
I mean, I don't mean this to sound negative. The shop is not super large. It's spacious inside, though. You've got basically one big shelf on the side and one row of bottles down the middle, and then the stand on the left where you have your guest producers in there. And there really is so many things. I couldn't even like fully process everything that was in there, and yet there was plenty of room to walk around and interact with people. I can't even imagine how you pulled that off, but it's awesome. Do you have like a big storage room in the back so that you don't have to like restock every week?
Well, I've got a small storage room in the back, but fortunately in our house here, we have an extra room downstairs that we have named the warehouse. And any extra product we keep there. My 27-year-old son also works at the shop, and we call him the human forklift as well. So he's transferring product back and forth too. And fortunately, we got the shop. It's about a half a mile from our house, so not too terribly difficult.
Is there a certification for human forklift?
There should be. He's got nice big muscles.
So what do you do when you find, or do you find, that a certain SKU is not moving?
We put it on sale.
It's Good move.
You hit the nail on the head. We just don't have that much space in the shop. So and we haven't been open that long. So we try it. If it moves, great. If not, we move it out and move a new product in. There are so many products coming out all the time. I get samples weekly, daily of new products. So my producers know that I'm pretty darn picky.
Awesome. So for the relationship between you and the producers, is it more that you reach out to them and ask, hey, I'm interested in carrying your products, I'd like to try some stuff? Or is it more that they're sort of reaching out to you and saying, hey, I heard that there's this new, you have this new non-alcoholic bottle shop. I've got this product. Would you like to try it? Sort of which way does
It's
that
a combination. Yeah, in the beginning, it was me reaching out all the time. But the press has been very nice to us. Thank you very much. And I've got quite a few producers reaching out to me now, so that's been fun. I think it's such a growing category that the word's starting to really get out more.
So it's about 5 months now since you opened, I guess. I'm just doing the math real quick, something like that, which is, I mean, you're starting to get a feel of the trends of the customer base.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't been through a full year, so maybe there's certain things that are seasonal. Do you have any sort of a read on if things are changing cyclically, or is it too soon to tell?
Kind of too soon to tell. I mean, we opened the shop right before the holidays. Definitely strategic, and we had no idea. Whew, that was a lot. And then got through that, and then dry January hit, and that was a whole other ball game. I think I could have put anything on the shelves then and sold it. I grew up in a flower shop. My mom had a flower shop, and dry January compared to like Christmas time. At Christmas time, we could, customers walk in the door, just give me something. I just need something. And that was dry January. Starting in February and kind of continuing through now. Yes, we're getting more of an idea of what people are looking for. We sell a lot of ready-to-drink cocktails. Those are nice and easy. And then quite a few functional beverages. I think that's a super big trendy word right now. And people are looking for something to kind of replace alcohol. So they're trying all sorts of different things.
Yep.
The plant-based functionals out there have they say they do different things, L-theanine, ashwagandha, products like that. Do they work? Maybe. Do they work for you? If you think it works for you, I think that's fantastic. CBD works great for me as a relaxant. But those are a couple big things. I will tell you that our customers come in. They're not. They're pretty lazy when it comes to making a cocktail for the most part. There are people that come in that, really want to do the fancy cocktails. But for the most part, they want a product that they can mix with some sparkling water or a mixer, maybe put 3 products together. And that's kind of the max of what they want to do as far as making cocktails. So we look for products that taste good and are easy to make something that tastes great without a lot of work.
Yeah, I definitely feel called out right now. I mean, as a as a whiskey enthusiast and whiskey reviewer, I do a whole lot of neat sipping, right? That's a one ingredient cocktail with no prep. That's 99% of what I do. And when I'm making a cocktail, it really is take some whiskey, add some soda water, or take some whiskey, make an old fashioned. It's like 2 ingredients. Or occasionally, even when I'm messing around with the non-alcoholic beverages, I've got like 2 or 3 things that I want to put together. Like I've got the Wilderton bittersweet aperitivo, which is kind of an Amaro type thing. That I'll mess around with putting that and orange juice and luster together and make something kind of like a tequila sunrise. That was kind of fun, but like it's still just like what can I kind of just dump a couple of things in a glass together and see if it tastes okay? And if it's good, and I'm also super lazy, I usually don't have fresh citrus around because it mostly just sits and goes bad. Here, I'm gonna make
Yeah.
our faces the same size actually because this will work now. Yeah,
Yeah. No.
I don't have to be tiny. Um,
Thank you.
so I usually just use the lemon juice that comes in the little yellow grenade. Um,
Do you know
and
about those packets?
sorry,
Do you know about those little dehydrated packets?
no.
They're amazing. It's like a sugar packet, and it's dehydrated lemon juice with a little bit of lemon oil in it. And they're little crystals that you just dump in, and it's like having fresh lemon.
Awesome. I
It's
should give that a try.
so cool. Yeah. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's totally fine. I didn't even ask a question. I got information that I needed to have. So.
There you go.
Yeah, usually my approach is if I feel like I came up with a good cocktail spec that's missing something, then I'll upgrade it to fresh lemon, fresh lime, fresh orange,
Yeah.
or I'll usually avoid shaking. I stir because it's just easier. But then when it's like, okay, this really needs to be shaken to have the right texture, then I'll switch to the shaker. So like I definitely start on the lazy side. And I know when it's time to move it to something that takes a little bit more effort. It
Yeah.
often just has to do with how much time I have. But
Yeah.
if I'm going to sit with a whiskey or something for 2 hours after I pour it, I surely could find time to spend the 5 minutes it takes to make a real cocktail. So like it's really just an irrational kind of laziness.
Well, everybody can. It is, but it's just simple is good. And if you can find something that tastes great, that's simple, that's what people buy.
Awesome. I'm just going to check Instagram real quick to see if we have any questions. Looks like I'm not seeing any live questions for now, but I will just remind everybody who's watching that we do take live questions. So if you have a question you'd like to ask Kirstin, let us know. Cool. So we'll see. Maybe something will roll in before the end of the stream. So not to be a downer, but last time I was in your shop in January, we were processing the soon to be loss of a dog. And it was dry January, so we were looking for something to kind of take the edge off of that grief without it being alcohol. And one of the things we were happy to see that you carried was actually CBD sodas. So that definitely helped us. It gave us something to kind of enjoy without breaking the dry time.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask specifically about that type of product. In general, you wouldn't need any permits or so on to have the products in your store. But for the CBD products, I don't know if you carry any THC products. Do you have to have special permits in order to carry certain things?
Not for the CBD, and for THC products in Washington, currently you can't sell them. Delta 9 is kind of a gray area product. It's made from hemp, but it has to be under 0.3%, and it can't be synthetically made. I think until the Farm Bill comes through, it's still going to be very gray. So that's not something that we're jumping into, but definitely CBD is a product that we sell, and we haven't had any issues with that.
Great.
So,
that definitely makes it convenient to stock just about anything you want because you pretty much don't have to ask anybody, right?
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing about non-alcoholic products for consumers, it's considered food. So they actually have to put what's in it on the back and also all the nutritional information. Yeah. I was just
Little
gonna show-
nutrition facts label, which
Yeah.
is actually, I was very amused when I saw that.
Yeah, it's actually really nice though, because they can, the products out there like Tennyson doesn't add any extra sugar to it. So the nutritional facts on it is really exciting and really cool. And people that can't have sugar can make sure that they're getting a product that is appropriate for them.
Yeah, a lot of these products are very low in calories, not usually zero.
Yeah.
Wilderton has 2 of their 3 products are 0 calories. This Spiritless says 15 calories per 2 fluid ounces. The Roots said 25. So we're looking at, like, at the very least, your fractional sodas at this point. So, these are calories wise, these
Oh
seem
yeah.
to generally be way better for you than a real cocktail. I shouldn't say
Yeah.
real cocktail. An alcoholic cocktail tends to have way more calories in it. So,
Yep. Yep, for sure. I think it's great for weight loss.
as
Oh, I
is
think
being dry in general.
I know Yura got out of rehab, lost like 40 pounds. I lost 15 pounds. It was great.
Yep. And dry
And yeah,
January is good, not just to give you a break from all the drinking you've done over the holidays, but I don't know about you. I usually pack on a few pounds between
oh yeah.
Thanksgiving and Christmas. My birthday's in there too. It's just eating and eating and trips, traveling, lots of
Yeah.
that. It's just everything that's bad for you. And dry January is
But
just a chance
fun.
to refocus on everything. Yeah, super fun. But then guilt is the wrong word, but
Regret?
paying the debt back to yourself, right? Like you've got to make sure that you balance it out somewhere. So being able to do it kind of all at once right after the big splurge
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. So again, it's back to having choices. And that's what Cheeky and Jari is really about is offering choices to people.
So I mentioned earlier, I did hear that you're planning on opening another location. Do you have anything to share on that?
Oh, well, we're on the hunt for a new location. I think it's people travel from all over the place to come to Cheeky and Dry. As far as Vancouver, Canada, people come from Tacoma quite often, Olympia, all over. So currently we're looking over in Issaquah. I think the east side is probably a good place for us to go, and that could really kind of hit the south end. People that are making a long drive to see us.
Makes sense to
So
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It'd be
We're
definitely
also,
good to yeah, I'm down in Renton, so it's hard for
oh,
me
there
to
you
get
go.
up to the Green Lake area. So Issaquah would probably be a good location for me.
Yep, yep. So we're also working on delivery too. So for a
Oh, great.
minimum, we're going to be going to different areas, different days of the week. So going to hit that up too.
Very cool. So about your guest producers
Mhm.
come into the shop and set up a booth. Has that been a part of it from the very beginning?
Yeah, it has. They are the producers are all about 3 years and younger.
Mhm.
There are hardly any producers out there that are older than that, so they are super anxious to get out and get liquid to lips. A good example of a product that's been doing that from the beginning is this company called Nowhere. A couple of guys went to the UW Entrepreneur Program and came out with this great product called Nowhere. It's product. The ingredients are sourced locally in the Pacific Northwest, and they make a killer cocktail. And they come in about once a month and do a tasting. Everybody loves it. It's fun for them, and getting the word out is what they want to do. There are a couple others. One is Ringa. She does a ginger and lemon and apple cider vinegar cocktail that's delicious. 0 calories. She usually comes in about once a month, and then another one out of Issaquah called Arc. She does Indian flavored cocktails that are amazing. That one you really have to try because the description you're like, yeah, I have no idea what that is. So Pranali comes in and does tastings and always does really well. It's fun to have them in. And then anytime anybody's in town, they stop by. Wilderton is another great one that's done tastings as well. So we love it when they come in.
All right. So for my listeners who are not in the Pacific Northwest or the Seattle area, do you have any recommendations of non-alcoholic bottle shops in other regions?
Yeah, there are some great ones out there. So Spirited Away was the first non-alcoholic bottle shop in the country. Those guys are in Manhattan. There's also Minus Moonshine in Brooklyn. There's another great one called Point Five. She's in Richmond, Virginia. Hopscotch just opened in Washington, D.C. There is NA Generation in Indiana. There's also Lauren's place in Indiana as well. There's another one down in Atlanta, Ocean Beach Cafe in San Francisco. Fantastic. Josh is a great guy. And in Richland, Washington, there is a great one called Kindred Spirits. Couple over there did a really lovely job with the shop. So they are opening. There's also a couple in LA, but not a heck of a lot of them yet. I predict that we will see a plethora of them in the coming years. And look for more cheeky and dries.
Yeah, that just speaks to the success of the idea.
Yeah, it really does. And it's people are super excited about it. They're asking for it.
That's awesome. And I know that I am. I'm super glad to be able to have somebody who really knows their stuff to make these recommendations to the Whiskey Lodge community for our quarterly dry week.
Thank you.
So I've mentioned the Whiskey Lodge a couple of times. You'll find a link to that in the show notes as usual. I haven't seen any questions come in yet other than we have a comment from Genji. Thanks for joining, Genji. He didn't know that CBD could be in a drink.
Yeah, it's there are CBDs in a can. We also just got a product in that's actually a pump that you can add CBD to whatever drink you're having. So if you're having a non-alcoholic cocktail or a cocktail, you can add some CBD to that. It's just a really nice way to mellow at the end of the night and just take the edge off.
Excuse me. Yeah, awesome. Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell us that, or something that you think I should have asked about that I didn't?
Oh gosh. No, I mean, I think again, I'm going to get on my soapbox of having 3 different options at your party instead of just one and some Coke products. Everybody likes to feel included, and the having a really great party means everybody feels included in the party. So having those 3 different options, I think, is really key. Or if you're having an event or a wedding or whatever you're doing, being able to give people choices is the best way to go. And whether you buy them from us or whether you buy them from your local grocery store or online, it's just really great to have those. And come into Cheeky and try some stuff. We're very happy to pour you samples. We're happy to educate you if you've got questions or anything else and you don't live near us. Email us or call us. We're happy to give you suggestions. So that's awesome. All about being a good steward and good just having good choices.
Yeah. And again, I will echo that it is just a really good time going to Cheeky and Dry. So I absolutely recommend it's worth an afternoon. Go clear your schedule for an afternoon, spend a couple hours in there, talk to them, try some stuff, just hang out.
Come sit on our yellow couch.
Yeah. Oh, this is a great question from Genji. Do you have any recommendations for beginner dry cocktails?
Absolutely. Well, yes. I mean, if you're local, come in and we will walk you through it. If not, there are some great books out there. We've got a couple of them in the shop. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the names of them. Beginning cocktails. We have a really great NA tequila. Actually tastes like tequila. It's got some capsaicin added to it, so it's got a little bit of a bite. That you can mix with a margarita mix and have a great margarita. You're not going to be sad about it. You're not going to miss the alcohol. And we've got a lovely Campari and a lovely non-alcoholic gin. You can mix a Negroni. I keep going back to that because that's one of my favorite drinks. Spritz, Aperol Spritz. We've got a great Aperol option. The Pathfinder and ginger beer, which is what I'm drinking right now. That's solid, amazing drink. If I go to a bar and they have Pathfinder on the bar menu, that's what I end up having. So lots of great options out there. But Genji, email me, call me, come into the shop. I'm happy to help you with whatever.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, I won't put it in the show notes because I don't want you to get spammed by the bots, but just go ahead and say what your email address is.
Sure, it's Kirstin, Kirstin, at cheekyanddry.com.
Awesome. And a slightly different shade of that question. Are there any types of cocktail mixes or like cocktail specs that you would suggest people avoid when they're exploring dry cocktails for the first time?
So just not to avoid, but just to set expectations. I think setting expectations is something that we do often in the shop because it's not going to taste just like it. You know, I have somebody come in and say, do you have a non-alcoholic bourbon? Yes, we do, but you're never going to drink it on the rocks by itself. It just doesn't taste like that. It's not what it's made for. It's made for mixing cocktails. And spirits across the board are going to be thin on the palate. Ethanol is what gives alcohol that big round mouthfeel. So when you try it, don't be surprised if you're like, oh, this is not exactly what I was expecting. But once you mix that in a cocktail, it replicates the taste that you're looking for easily. So, and same with wine. Wine is super hard. Once they take the ethanol out of the wine, it becomes thin on the palate and loses some of the depth of flavor. My pro tip for non-alcoholic wine is to add bitters. Bitters makes a huge difference in it. And again, I'll go back to, we've got a non-alcoholic bitter in our shop that's made with glycerin instead of alcohol. So that too, when you add that to your drink or your wine, it adds some of the viscosity back to the drink that you kind of tend to expect. It also adds some depth of flavor back to specifically red wine.
Yeah, I was going to say you gave me a great recommendation for a dealcoholized sparkling white wine
Oh,
when I
yeah.
was in there. I don't remember what the brand was, but it's on my Instagram feed. I made a cocktail with it and one of the Wilderton products, like a French 75 riff or something like that. I was sort of looking for a champagne simulant. What was really nice about that wine is even without the alcohol, the sparkling did something for it in terms of like giving it some body. And the fact that it still had that oakiness that Chardonnay has actually made it feel more like the wine than I would have expected for a dealcoholized wine to taste. So that's one way you could go. Look for the things that don't lean too much on the alcohol part to taste good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you're starting with non-alcoholic wine, I think the best way to start is with a sparkling wine. That should be your first jump into it, because it is a little bit of a shock to the system. But there are still some really fantastic dealcoholized wines out there.
Oh, okay. So I guess I was gonna say in terms of cocktail specs that are probably gonna work better with non-alcoholic spirit simulants or even freeform spirits is usually things that aren't too spirit forward. That has been my experience. But there are definitely some products like I made a martini with something that isn't gin and a non-alcoholic vermouth, and those two ingredients sing so well together. This is an exception. Sometimes you find your ingredients, you taste them, they speak to you a certain way. You say, I bet that would go really well as a whatever. And you try it. And if it's good, you make it again. This is like my third or fourth one of these. So
Oh, that makes me so happy. Yeah, actually, you'll be surprised too. And the industry started out at a very different level. I think year after year, as makers are continuing to try new products and make new products, they are improving tenfold. And we can provide products that are going to make your whiskey drinkers happy. Are we going to provide them a perfect bourbon? Nope. But we are going to provide substitutes that will make them just as happy. I think Tennyson is a great option. My whiskey drinkers absolutely love this product.
I'm going to have to stop in and give that one a try for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Just to echo that last piece of advice again is just to get yourself out of the mindset that you're buying a replacement for whiskey. Instead, you're buying a replacement for the sipping experience, and you're going to try something different. And just
Mhm.
the guard your expectations, but don't be afraid to like something for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Those free-form spirits are really what kind of I feel like is the way of the future for non-alcoholic products.
A question that I would be remiss if I didn't ask you: are you particularly feeling excited about any recent new product or any product that you're going to have soon?
Yes. So
I did a bad job of
actually,
asking that question. I'm sorry.
actually, I just got in a new product that is insanely good. It's called Farragaya, and it is a Scotch. It's a de-alcoholized Scotch from Scotland.
Okay.
And when I first tried it, I was like, "Oh, I don't know about this." Um, Again, I'm going to set the expectation that it's not fantastic on its own. But when you add it into your mixers, we did a Farragaya and soda. It just kind of it cuts it a little bit, and then it also with the bubbles kind of gives it some viscosity. There was a peatiness, and it was a lasting peatiness and smokiness to this product that I was shocked about. Um, it was it's going to be one of our biggest sellers. We also added it. We've got it. We've got another product that's a mixer. It's a smoked honey whiskey sour mix, and that with that Farragaya in it, can't tell the difference that it's not alcoholic. It's
Wow.
amazing.
That's
And
awesome.
that's what you're really looking for with these non-alcoholic products is you're looking for the finish on them too, that lasting finish, just like a good alcoholic product. You want the nose, then you want the flavor, and then you want that lasting finish. And Farragaya is something that really provided that.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, we also have another product coming in called Psychedelic Water, and it's a kava um, drink that was actually really good. So
Okay.
yeah, I know kava is kind of a new thing on the market. It's kind of CBD-esque, but kava is a different plant, and it provides some different feelings. But that one we're excited about too.
Interesting. I've heard of kava, but I hadn't heard anything about what it does. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's good about it's supposedly it helps you focus. It also helps you relax for
I
some
think we all
people.
need a little bit of both of those things in today's
Amen
world.
to that one. So we liked it. It was good.
Well, all right. I think it's about time that I let you go.
Okay.
So once again, listeners, check us out in the Whiskey Lodge. We do a quarterly dry week, and we're collecting more and more great recommendations for what you can enjoy while you're not enjoying whiskey. So feel free to join in with us. If you feel like you need a break from spirits, we do that every quarter, and it's a great thing to have a community to help you do that. So Kirstin and Yura, tell him for me, thank you so much for coming on this show. I really appreciate it. It's been great speaking with you and sharing the good word about what you're doing. So
Oh, Doug, thank
cheers.
you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. And we would love to see you all in the shop. Cheers.
Absolutely. I'll stop in again. So cheers. And until next time, we'll see you in the lodge. Good night.
Ciao.